Today, my guest you've seen across WCW, WWE, TNA. He is a world-traveled professional wrestler. You know his name, Ernest the Cat Miller. Ernest, how are you, sir?
Let me correct you right fast, son. Vince McMahon put this in me. Back in the day, we used to call ourselves a WCW wrestler. Vince McMahon changed all of that. You call his stars WWE superstars. So I'm a WCW superstar and a WWE superstar. And I've been featured on a couple of other promotions like Fourth Rope. I'm doing that now. So, that's me. I'm Ernest the Cat Miller.
I appreciate you taking the time out, sir. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Hey, brother, listen, let's go with it.
So, were you a professional wrestling fan growing up, or what caught your eye with professional wrestling?
I wasn't a professional wrestling fan growing up. I did enjoy wrestling when I was young with my friends, my grandparents, with my grandfather. So I kind of was a spectator of the sport, entertainment, but I was never considered myself a fan.
But you were an athlete before all this, right?
Oh yeah, man. I did a lot of stuff before I even got into pro wrestling.
What got you into martial arts? What drew you into that world?
Man, growing up in a neighborhood to where kids were kids, that means that everything a boy wanted to do, a young kid, I can't speak for my sister, but as a young boy, everything I wanted to do was schoolwork and then go outdoors and play. And when you outdoors and play, you got to play with all the other kids in the neighborhood. And a few of those kids in the neighborhood was good, a couple were bad. Some were good guys, some were bad guys. But it was a few in my neighborhood that were bullies. And I had, I got a young brother with I think he's like 2-3 years younger than I think 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 years younger. So I had to protect him, And my younger brother was a young fellow with a big mouth. He did more talking than he did fighting. So, I had to stand up for him, make sure everything will be okay. But I started out boxing on the real tip. I started out boxing. I won the Golden Glove in Decatur Boxing Gym. The YMCA. I won the Golden Glove boxing. And then I was pretty good at boxing, but then I fell in love. My father took me to see a karate movie with a actor in that known as Bruce Lee. And I saw Bruce Lee jump up and kick a guy right between the eyes. And I said, that's what I want to do. So I kind of transitioned what I was doing in boxing, and I'm glad I did, over to karate, which was considered an art.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Was it hard getting into that, or was it something you picked up quickly?
It was, I didn't know how hard it was. When you're that age, you don't look at things how hard it's going to be. You look at things just, this is what you want to do, so you do it. So it couldn't be that hard because, I'm 62 years old, and I'm still taking karate classes from my fifth different style of karate. So, no, it wasn't that hard.
When did you feel like you were good at this sport? Like, when did you really feel like this was something you were extremely good at?
From day one. When you go into something like that, you feel like you're good at it. Even from your first class, I felt like I was ready to fight. There was a scene in this karate movie I went to see to where Bruce Lee got caught in the room with all the bad guys. They made a circle around him with about 30 guys. And Bruce Lee got in the middle. The only thing he did was took his shirt off and he went to kicking ass. Bang, 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 bang. That was a great scene. That's what I thought I could do after day one.
How long did you do this before professional wrestling started to come into your
Long
life?
time, man. Damn near 40 hours teaching karate. See, you asked the question, when did I know I was good? I knew I was good
Hmm.
the first day. But there's become a time in your life of martial arts to where you know enough to where
Hmm.
you know enough. You know
Hmm.
something. You just don't know what you know until you either been challenged or you just figured it out yourself. So it came a time when someone challenged me and I was like, whoa, did that come out? Where did that come from? Oh, snap. This is what I know.
Hmm.
So that though was different. I knew I was good from day one, but I really didn't. It took a while for me to realize what I did know.
Getting into and pursuing karate, like you said, is something that you can keep learning different styles and growing, and then you get better and better. So, was transitioning into professional wrestling something because you felt like you accomplished what you needed to in that specific time period in your life, and you were ready for a new challenge?
No, no. I mean, I was still teaching karate, and
Hmm.
at 30 some years old, I was still learning. I was still taking another style, kempo. I would learn a new style, so it had nothing to do with me transitioning to wrestling. Wrestling is just something that came into my life, and just like anything else, the benefits was there. Hey,
Hmm.
I can still doing karate, and one of the unfortunate things about karate is you don't really make a lot of money.
Hmm.
You know, you give away a lot of good teaching and knowledge, and you help bring kids up. You in people's lives, so that's the good part of martial arts. You give away a lot of good attention. You become
Hmm.
a mentor. So that's part right there. But still, to pay the bills, I wanted to make it the easy way I wanted to, and I found out once I found out how much money they were making in pro wrestling, it was easy to make that decision.
So there was no hesitation on stepping into
No,
that
no,
world.
no. I mean, it was a little hesitation at the time I was transitioning because it was around the time where the brown belts were getting promoted to the black belt,
Hmm.
and that's an important time in people's lives, especially as students, because you're gonna remember when I first got my black belt, what it was like, who was my teacher. So I wanted to. I have worked with some of those guys from day one. I wanted to be there when they got promoted to the black belt, and I couldn't do it if I was somewhere in the power plant learning
Hmm.
to wrestle. So they asked me about a year before I actually showed up because it took about a year to really help promote my karate class.
Now, what was your first initial thoughts of the power plant?
It's just like anything else. I came up as an athlete. I played
Hmm.
sports. Like I said, I did martial arts. So we were used to being trained for something.
Hmm.
You go into it, and sometimes hard, sometimes the plays is not easy, but you used to being in uncomfortable conditions,
Hmm.
just like the power plant was. So it didn't scare me. It just, okay, this is where I got to go to make it to TV, to make the money. I got to learn how to wrestle.
So, if you were a previous athlete with an athletic background going into something like the power plant, it was natural almost because you were used to
Yeah,
that
yeah, it
mentally.
was it was it, it was it was it was natural,
Hmm.
because I knew there were steps. There were things I had to do before I actually start my job.
Hmm.
So, and one of the things was I got to learn how to do a few things in this school. And I was getting paid to go to school, so it was easy.
Was there anything during that transition that you thought was maybe harder for you to catch on to, or was it pretty easy for you to get the ropes of being a professional wrestler?
It, the hardest thing for me to to not to receive it or to get it, attain it, but
Hmm.
one of the most important things was I had to flip my idea of sports from kickboxing, karate, where everything they tell you in karate, even if you hurt in the ring and you facing your opponent, you want to knock his head off, you want to finish him, you even if you got hurt, you don't show any pain. If you weird or strange or something, you smile at them, you let them know that listen, I got more to go. So it's a mental game with them. But when I got into pro wrestling, it was they had to unravel all that knowledge and everything I felt, even when it wasn't there. I had to make believe it was there. I had to act out pain. I had to act out fear. It was okay to let it out. So those two things was a little different right there. One sport, football, playing football, you hit somebody, you get hurt. You get up, the coach, you in pain, coach asks if you okay. You tell him, yeah, because you don't want to come out, So wrestling was a little different on the other hand.
During your time in the power plant, did they know who they wanted you to be, or were you throwing ideas at them, or did they just want you to be
No,
you?
no. They wanted me to be me, a karate guy. I didn't have to be anybody else. All I had to do is go in and nobody told me, hey, this is a character we're going to build for you. They let me come in and do myself. They wanted me to be this karate. They wanted to fit. But back then, things were still shaping out for MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Dana White, he was still trying to find that rigid hole in the wall that he could squeeze in and fit in where mixed martial art can become what it is today. He was still trying to figure that out. So Eric Bischoff was already smart, and karate and wrestling had been doing it for years. Every now and then you'll see a guy in there who wasn't a wrestler, but he was a martial arts guy. So they wanted me to come in and fill that mold. They had a few guys in there that was supposed to have been karate guys. So all I had to do is come in and right now fill that gap of space that they have for martial arts, karate.
How long were you in the power plant before you started working matches on television?
About a month and a half. It was just
Okay.
that fast. Man, listen, when I tell people this, I learned to wrestle the worst way you can learn. I had to learn on the run, on TV, working with the top guys in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I did not learn how to wrestle until I left the business. Once I left the wrestling business, I started kind of like, it hit me. It's like, oh, snap. I should have held this a little longer. All I had to do is react to this, react to that. I kind of learned, it kind of settled in, and I kind of realized what I knew. But one thing I could do that saved me from all that crap stuff, I could fight. So anything I needed to do, I was able to do it. If I needed to put the guy on his back, I knew how to put him on his back. If I needed to go to my back, I knew from a hip toss. It was just like taking a throw in karate. So I knew how to go to my back. So with me having that knowledge or how to fight, it was very easy to kind of transition that into a match on TV that was watchable. I didn't say great, just that it was watchable, But if you look at me, you see some of the matches. People always talk about, oh, the matches was this, oh, he couldn't wrestle. That's the first thing they say about guys. They said about Goldberg, but Goldberg one of the biggest name in the business. They said about me, oh, Ernest can't wrestle. He's a karate guy. I could fight. I was smart. I was able to get through, and I was hell of entertaining. I was more entertaining than a lot of the guys who can wrestle their ass off. They weren't even getting on TV. Raven walking down the hall about 6 or 8 months or maybe a year of me being in wrestling. I was on Monday night when I just came off. I walking down the hall, and Raven was getting ready to go on, and Raven stopped me and said, hey, Ernest, you already got 90% of what it takes to be successful. And I said, what's that? He said, entertainment. You got charisma. So anything you do and say, people going to laugh or be entertained. So what I learned to do is kick the hell out of somebody, something that I'm an expert at, and make it entertaining. So that's why
Absolutely.
me and Vince Russo, yeah, I think it was Eric Bischoff first, because I really didn't know how to talk on the mic and do all that stuff. I knew how to talk, but to go
Hmm.
out there and talk to the crowd or to talk to nobody was kind of weird. It was kind of weird because here I am. I'm gonna kick your ass. I tell you what. Once I'm talking, who the hell I'm talking to?
Hmm.
Nobody. That was kind of weird. So it was hard for me to get that. But Eric Bischoff, he came up. He said we were going out to the ring to do something. He said, Ernest, get a mic. So when I got the mic, Eric Bischoff had a mic. And I forgot what it was. It was some kind of something was going on at WCW where Eric Bischoff was going to straighten everything out in front of everybody. So when Eric Bischoff went out, Eric Bischoff said, whatever I say, you repeat. So when Eric Bischoff would say, hey, it's good to be here, I'll say, hey, it's good to be here. So I kept saying stuff in the mic in the crowd till it got so confusing after a
Hmm.
while. I saw where it was going. People started to cheer and laugh because I repeated everything Eric said till Eric turned around and said, Ernest, shut up. And everybody started saying, but that right there spot marked me as a big
Hmm.
mouth. People start
Yep.
looking at me as a big mouth. He's trying to be something that he's not. So when Vince Russo came in and I became uh, the general manager,
Hmm.
of Monday Night Nitro and stuff like that, and the commissioner, it was easy for me to transition because all I had to do is be myself, be entertaining.
Hmm. Was there any particular moments that during your time in WCW that mean something to you? I'm sure people tell you all their favorite moments, but is there any particular ones that are special for you personally?
I'm not gonna even belittle my accomplishment. Everything I did when I was wrestling was huge. I
Hmm.
mean, it was bigger than big. There's no other big show. Listen, I've been on the NFL football field before, trying to play NFL football. I've been in the middle of the ring after 10 round kickboxing match, being called a champion. I've won a number of sports fighting, tournament fighting. I'd have got my black belt. Let me tell you something. Every moment I had when I was wrestling, especially at that time, I was new to it, was new to me. It was huge. It was you could not believe the gratitude that I had once I left whatever that moment was and
Hmm.
whatever that position was. Whenever I left there, I walked back to the locker room with a smile on my face. So I was gifted something that I was gifted something that I was gifted something that I really appreciate. So every moment that was great, man.
Hmm.
But the moments that stood out in me the most was when they told me to come to Monday Night Nitro. I didn't know the difference between Monday Night Nitro, Thursday Thunder,
Hmm.
Saturday morning, Worldwide. They had these shows. To me, they were all the same. But Monday night, when I got there, Monday night was when all the big stars was there.
Hmm.
So here I am. I'm sitting there to see what they wanted me to do. I go into catering. I'm sitting down there catering. I said, I don't know anybody. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know anybody. But then I look up, I see Hogan walk in. I'm like, man, that's Hulk Hogan. I see Kevin Nash walk in. I see Scott Hall. I see I see Ted DiBiase. I see all these guys that I used to watch,
Hmm.
when I did watch it. I saw these big name guys, man, and then, I was looking at somebody and the eyes were looking back at me and it was Ric Flair and I put my head down for some reason. I don't know why. I just didn't want people to think like, oh, he's a fan. He here watching it. But I made eye contact with Ric Flair. I got my head down. I was like, oh shit, man, that's Ric Flair. Man, I hope he don't think I'm like some fan or something. I just made eye contact with Ric Flair, holding my head down, talk to myself. Then Nathan, I hear somebody. I look up and it was Scott Hall, and Scott Hall said, "Hey, Ernest." I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" He said, "Hey, man, can I sit here?" I said, yeah. So he put a chair down, sit down. He was the first big star that I had a conversation with like that over lunch or dinner. And we sit down, he just said, listen, you're gonna have a good time, man.
Hmm.
This is the best time to be in wrestling. Wrestling is, he says, about to blow up. So you're gonna be part of this historical moment in a way. I didn't know he was talking about NWO and pro wrestling as a whole. But
Hmm.
Scott Hall was the first one to sit down. He sat down with me, we talked, and he said, listen, if you want to be a character, look on TV, find somebody you like, and be that character. Take everything they say and do it in a ring.
Was there anything that you wanted to happen, or you pitched that, or an idea that did not come to fruition during your time in WCW that you would have liked to have seen happen?
Man, you know what? I was well liked in WCW, and I wasn't really. This gonna sound kind of funny, but I wasn't trying to be a big star.
Hmm.
I did not want the Goldberg spot. You know, I just
Hmm.
wanted to be. I had a 3-year contract that was making a lot of money. I just wanted to be there for 3 years, maybe get another contract. So all I wanted to do is have fun. So most of the thing I pitched was okay. Yes, you can do that. You know, from
Hmm.
wearing red shoes in the ring to bringing James Brown in to doing a lot of stuff. You know, I mean, they pretty
Hmm.
much let me do what I wanted to do.
When WCW was coming to a close, was your contract one of the ones that was picked up right away, or was there some time in between?
They offered to pick my WWE offered to pick me up right away, but I had just signed a 3-year deal,
Hmm.
and it was guaranteed. So with me having that 3-year deal, man, that was like 2 years into it. I think 2 years into it or 3 years into it. So when I got that 3-year deal, that meant that for the next 3 years, I'm getting a check no matter what, you
Hmm.
know, unless I decide to go to WWE. And one thing I missed, man, I bought a new home. I bought my mom a home. I bought me a new house, you know, right near each other where my mom can help take care of my 2 kids. And it was fun, man. And I just remember I had to find myself. I had to search my soul and see what was best. I had to ask God, what's good, man? What's the next thing for me? And then I thought about it. I said, you know what? This could be the end of pro wrestling for me. So what do you want to do now? And I said, talking to myself, this is me talking to myself. I said, I might want to go back into karate, but my body's too sore. Cause being in the ring, man, like today don't do what we used to do. We used to work like house shows and then you had to work all week. So we was in the ring a lot, you know?
Hmm.
So when I question whether or not I'm gonna be able to go back and wrestle because my ankles were sore, my knees were sore, everything was just sore, you know, from that ring. But I thought about it, then I said, hey, wait a minute. I got 3 years to figure out what I want to do. I'm gonna get a check every week, just like I'm getting right now.
Hmm.
So what did I want to do? I went home, man, and became the most respected father around, stay at
Hmm.
home father around. You know, my two boys were AAU basketball and football, and my daughter was a cheerleader. So, you know, 11-year-old cheerleader. So man, I was at every practice. I was just, you know, I would stay at home. You know, I was
Hmm.
getting paid, you know.
When that contract came up, did you know that there was going to be a place for you in WWE, or is that something that you were afraid that
And,
after this
and
time had passed?
you know, I really didn't know wrestling, and I
Hmm.
didn't know how things worked, but a lot of guys that went over to WWE, and I really didn't think about it, you know, but I was just getting paid so much money, and I was like, you know what, it's time, you know, before my contract was like rolling over into those 3 years, the year before that, I worked like 280 days on the road. Monday night, I was at every show, every TV show, Monday, Thursday, and sometimes Saturday, and then house shows. And then I had to go and meet and talk to the radios and stuff. They just kept me on the road because it was fun. I
Hmm.
wanted to go. So I got burned out, man. The only injuries I had was my elbows sitting on the plane so much. So so once I got through that right there, man, and I figured out, I'm gonna sit at home, I'm gonna stay home. I didn't worry about it because I was still getting calls from everybody
Hmm.
about shows, house shows and stuff like that. But so I was, but I didn't want to do anything because my contract was there. So one of my good friends at the time was Johnny Ace. And he was already in there. So I kind of talked to him a little bit. He said, yeah, when your contract up, we'll bring you up here. I'll get you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Bring you up here. So, I really didn't worry about it. When I made up my mind that I wanted to go and work in
Hmm.
WWE or F, whatever it was at the time, it was only like a flash. I
Hmm.
didn't want to get deep into it, but I wanted to have WWE on my resume.
Hmm.
When I retire, I wanted people to say, hey, what did he work? Yeah, I wanted my kids, but he said he worked in WCW and WWE.
Hmm.
So that was my biggest reason for going to WWE because I wanted to have worked in
Hmm.
two of the most well-known, largest company in pro wrestling. And now I'm glad I did because WCW is not around and WWE is clearly the largest
Hmm.
company of all time in pro wrestling. And I got to work for Vince McMahon.
Hmm. How was your time to you personally during your run in WWE?
Let's say that it would have been different if I were broke.
Hmm.
I were rich. So everything up there they wanted me to do and they didn't want me to do, long as it didn't involve me
Hmm.
letting my guard down and being somebody that I'm not,
Hmm.
or doing things that were going to tarnish my reputation outside of pro wrestling, I was okay, man. I had a good time. I had a
Hmm.
great time. But it was hard. It was difficult. It was just like going from a well-known high school to going now you at a private school to where you only got a few teachers that's willing to help. So that's what it was. Cause Vince McMahon ran the thing even from his office. He ran everything, even to the locker room.
Hmm. So when your time with WWE came to an end, did you know what you wanted to do next?
You know what, man? Once you get into something, I never you people don't look for the end.
Hmm.
You don't start something just to look for the end. I didn't. I didn't start wrestling just to get into wrestling, just to try to figure out what I'm gonna do at the end. You sometimes think it's invincible. You think the end is not gonna come. So, once I got in there, each day I lived every day for that day.
Hmm.
I enjoyed what they put in front of me. If I didn't enjoy it, it was only for that day. I didn't take it home, didn't pout, didn't cry. So when they didn't renew my contract, they actually told me when they didn't renew my contract. First of all, it was Jim Ross. Jim Ross was the man over talent.
Hmm.
And I didn't know a lot about Jim Ross. I just know it's a white guy with a damn cowboy hat on. So he was the guy to actually tell me that they was going to release me, and he didn't talk about anything. He just said did do look like he was happy. I was like, this guy don't even know me. Why is he looking like he's so happy to tell? Well, they're not going to renew your contract, and he didn't say nothing. He didn't talk. But what I did, I had a good relationship with Vince McMahon.
Hmm.
Vince McMahon, I went and knocked on. I left that office and I went to Vince McMahon, knocked on the door and said, "Could I talk to you?" He said, "Yeah, come in." He said, "Yeah, man, listen, I really like your character. I like you. You're really good in the locker room." He said, I really like you, man, but with your character, the writer said they could write for you. Then I was like, so what do you do when writers can't write for you? He said, then you write for you, develop yourself. And he said, I said, oh, so why didn't no one tell me that? And he said, well, Cat, I'm telling you now, you develop yourself. So he said, listen, I like you. I can keep you on, but then they're going to think I'm showing favoritism because we're going to they were releasing a lot of WCW talent,
Hmm.
2 to 3 years in. So I said, listen, don't worry about it. I really think I should have. I said, thanks for, giving me the opportunity. I'll never forget this. And he said, Cat, by the way, man, go out and travel the world. He said, people going to be contacting you out from all over the world. Go out, travel the world, develop you a character that they can write for, then we'll bring you back. So I figured it was just like a rotation thing.
Hmm.
That's what I figured out later on. But at that time, I was hearing this bullshit, and they just telling me this, trying to not hurt my feelings. Because when you play pro football, if you don't make the team, that means you cut. You take your
Hmm.
ass home. When you're in the karate ring, if you don't win the fight, that means you lost. You go home and go back to the drawing board.
Hmm.
I knew that, but pro wrestling, I did not know that just a network show can release you, and it's a good thing because when I went home, I was getting calls from China, Japan, even Africa. I was getting calls from everybody. Hey, Cat, we want to bring you in. Australia, we want to bring you in and work with you. But my mind at that time was I was rich.
Hmm. I
I
don't blame you.
pro wrestling pay a lot of good money. They paid me
Hmm.
a lot of good money, and I was able to take care of my family the way I wanted to take care of it. So with me being in that position right there, it was like they did enough for me. I don't have to go back. So when these people were calling me to work, I was just saying no, 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 and I had to at least blow by saying no. With all the calls I would get, it was a lot of money. Cause think about it, I was on WCW. I never worked indie shows. Then I
Hmm.
went to WWE. I never worked indie shows. And then when they released me from WWE, because you look back at WWE, I got some good scenes. I got some good stuff. I worked with Vince McMahon in the ring, Sable. I was in the Royal Rumble. So they gave me some highlight spots. And what I figured out, that's what they brought me there for. They brought a lot of guys there just as a promise to part of the buyout in WCW.
Hmm.
Vince McMahon, I don't know how true it was, but I think Vince McMahon made a deal with them. Listen, we gonna buy you guys for $5 million. I'm gonna pay you $5 million. WCW said, well, we can't just throw these guys out. We got to do. Well, I tell you what, I'll give them a contract in of and come over and try it with me. With that trial, could have just been a 2, 3 years, or even some of them lasted 3 or 4 months. It depends on what they want. I
Hmm.
got a 3 year deal over there, and I stayed over there 3 years. But then they didn't renew my contract when it was time to pay me some real money. So I kind of figured out that this the thing they were doing. They were bringing everybody over. It was part of the routine they had going.
So after your time in WWE came to an end, did you know what you wanted to do next after that? Given that you traveled so much for so many years, and you accomplished a lot of things, and you made a lot of money in that time frame.
Well, I ain't gonna say. I hate to put emphasis on how much money I made or what I didn't make. I enjoyed my time in pro wrestling.
Hmm.
I enjoyed the time I spent in WCW as well as WWE. But once I parted ways with them, it's like, okay, I got money, so I got a little time to figure out what I wanted to do, and
Hmm.
I knew it was going to be dealing with martial arts. That's my background. So I just didn't know how I wanted to do it. I didn't know if I wanted to open my own school, go and work for other schools, to do private lessons. I just didn't know. So it hit me after a while. This is what I want to do. Once I went back, I decided to do. First of all, I went to LA. I said, you know what? I want to do at least 2 or 3 movies. No lie. No lie.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want to do movie. Have never done a movie in my life, but I will always offer those deals. I said, I just want something, a legacy, something I could leave
Mm-hmm.
for my kids can watch for years and years. Hey, you want to watch great great granddaddy in this movie and stuff like this? So I went to LA and I stayed out there for a little while, shopped myself around to see if it was something I can get into. And just like everything that happened in my life, it happened just out of the blue. I was in the gym and one of the guys told me, said, I know who you are. You Ernest the Cat Miller. He said, can you do a lot of that wrestling stuff? And I said, wow. He said, I'm shooting a movie and I would love to have you in there. Then he said, I can't pay you much. And I was like, pay me much. So I was just thinking about, hey, let's see what you're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
he called me down. Next week, I went down to set. It was him, a boom camera, just one guy with a camera, and a guy who was directing it. And that's the difference. Because as you know, working for WCW, man, they got the best of best. They have about, on one segment, they got about 20 people working. You know, big 20 cameras. They got boom mics. They got everything. They pick up everything. So I went and I did a couple of stunts he wanted me to do. He wanted me in a fight scene where I didn't have to fight, but at the end I get beat up. But I get to fight with him in the elevator. So, I went through, I did the part, boom. He said, thank you, I got my money, took my girl, we went out, we used that money to buy a nice dinner
Mm-hmm.
out there. It was just something. But I never thought I'd see that thing again. And next thing you know, about maybe it was fun. About 6 months later, I'm walking through somebody said, hey, I seen you on this movie, Blood Money. It's a karate movie. You get in a fight with the star. And I said, man, I never thought they were going to really make it anywhere. So I saw how easy it was to develop something and get it out there. So that was my first movie called Blood Money. And I got to fight, got beat up in the elevator, and I continued to do more. So at the end of that, it was time for me to, after 6 months there, I couldn't take no more LA, so I'm going back home. So I put my condo on sale for sale and moved back home. And soon as I got home, I get a call from my manager who said, "Hey, somebody will see you in New York." I said, "Why?" I said, "He's doing the movie." Then I found out another movie, and then they said yes. But the only thing is you got to pay your way out there. I said, "Bro, if they want to see me, why do I have to pay my way out there?" And they asking for me. I don't know the business, a movie business. But when my manager, who know the business very well, said, listen, two things they got a top star playing in the lead role. He didn't tell me who it was, but he said he's a big star. And the director is Darren Aronofsky, who is one of the underground directors, best of all time. Really great, a great director. Can't say best of all time, but he was a well-known underground director. I decided, my girlfriend talked to me at the time, talked to me and said go out there. So I went out there and I read for the part and I met Darren. I read for the part. Then they think they said, can you stay a few minutes? We got somebody we want you to read with. We like you. So I said, okay. I stayed about an hour and Nathan, I hear the door open and Mickey Rourke walk in and Mickey Rourke said, hey, can y'all read this part together? So we went back in there. We read the part, bang, bang, bang. Then Mickey looked at me and Darren and said, hey, he's a natural. He's a natural. He's a natural. So yeah, he's good for the part. So Darren said, you got the part. We'll reimburse you for everything. We'll fly you back home. Can you stay for a couple of weeks? Then I was like, a couple of weeks? He said, yes, I want you to do some working with Mickey in the ring. He's not a wrestler. And I forgot who they had in there, but he's a big name. What's this guy name? His family is Sapolsky. I can't think of his name right now, but I can. It'll come to me later, and I'll bring it back. He was the person up to play that part, but it was too hard for him. and his family had put up $50 million because they own their own production company. And man, my memory just I've got the guy name because he wasn't somebody he's somebody you would know, but if somebody I just it just slipped my memory right now, so it'll come to me.
Doing the movie that you did you think that it was going to be such a it is a cult classic? A lot of people really loved that movie. Did you think it would be as big as what it became?
Oh, of course not. I was just doing the job, having a good time, just like wrestling. I was just doing the job, having a good time, and everything was looking good. Everything was
Hmm.
looking good. Everything was easy. It was laid back. Mickey Rourke was a great person to work with, man, and it was just pretty good. So I had a great time. I never thought it'd be, but I heard both of those guys, Mickey Rourke and Darren. I heard them talk about this thing is going to win an award. I guarantee. And I'm looking around like this little bit's a $5 million movie. How is this going to win some award like that?
Hmm.
And then I remember I had a friend who worked in Hollywood. She was a lawyer, and I've been knowing her for a while after we shot the movie. Then she called me. She said, "Hey, Ernest." I said, "Yeah." She said, "What's the name of that little movie you was in?" Then I said, "The Wrestler." And she said, "Man, that movie is killing it. It's winning all of the awards in the film festivals all over the world. Said it's winning every reward for the best film, best this. So it's doing really well. So I still can wait for it to come out. So it took a little time to come out, but once Fox Fox Searchlight, yeah, Fox Searchlight, they brought the rights to it for I heard $150 million. It's a $5 million film, so they brought the rights to it for 150 million. They put it out and it did really well. And we was up for the best film.
Hmm.
We won a bunch of awards, but with the best film, we was up for the top actor and the best film. Mickey was up for the best actor, the Oscar for the actor in the movie, and the movie was up for the best movie.
Seeing that success come with that film, did it make you want to do other films?
I didn't know what success was because I've been successful my whole life. I didn't know what if anything felt like differently. It was
Hmm.
just something I was a part of that did well. I wasn't the star of the movie, so I couldn't just take all the credit. But it was something. It was in the line. Think about this. When I got into pro wrestling was just pro wrestling. Then all of a sudden it turned into the hottest time in wrestling. People in the Monday Night Wars, people everywhere wanted. We was celebrities to the celebrities. It blew up. Best time. Now I decided to get away and wanted to do what I want to do now. I want to do a movie. One of the very first movie I picked blew up. I mean, it was I found myself sitting at the Oscar drinking a little tea with my pinky finger out. I was all sophisticated, old country boy from Decatur. I'm out there now trying to act like a big movie star. But I wasn't a movie star type. I came back home and got working in karate, and I did a couple of more movies. I did my friend Michael J. White, one
Hmm.
of my best friends. He said, "Man, I got this movie. I want you to play this guy. It's funny. It's entertaining. The movie is Blood and Bones." And in Blood and Bones, I played Mama Dearest, some jail kind of guy that ran the block. So I got to do some fun movie
Hmm.
stuff, and now it was fun. And I didn't realize that from all these movies, I did about eight, I think
Hmm.
eight. But from all these movies, you get residuals. I still get checks, and you don't think about that. So this guy told me, he said, "Ernest, that's why a lot of people, main reason, once they get into acting, they all want to be in a movie that's either Oscar nominated or a movie
Hmm.
that won, that won the Oscar." And I said, "Why?" I said, "Because first of all, it's one that means it's gonna be one of the best movie made, and you're going to
Hmm.
be getting residual money for a very, very, very long time. So I still get checks from these movies. You know, Michael White movie pretty good, man. Blood and Bones, and Mike done made a lot of movies. If you don't know,
Hmm.
he's a diehard martial artist. He's a great fighter, man. This guy to make some really good movies.
So it's safe to say that life after WWE has been great for you.
Man, it's been, listen, it only slowed down when I went to sleep. And right now in my life, if I'm teaching karate, still teaching karate, I'm working with a couple of wrestling promotion when I want to. You know,
Hmm.
if they call me, I just went to Australia for 4 or 5 days. I worked one day over there, but I was over there 5 days walking around the same place I went when I was in WCW. So I'm doing a lot of good things. That's fantastic. We having a great time. I can take my family with me. We just went to France. You know, I'm working with Fourth Rope. Fourth Rope is something I always wanted to do. Back in the day of WCW, Master P was trying to congregate wrestling and hip hop together,
Hmm.
but he really didn't take the time to do it. When they brought out No Limit Soldier, yeah, No Limit Soldiers and stuff like that in WCW, he was trying to put something together. But you got this guy named Westside Gunn. Westside Gunn is a hip hop guy. He loved wrestling ever since he was young, and and man, listen, he putting together something that is culturally fantastic. Because when you go there, man, it's not white, black, it's everybody who
Hmm.
like cool music,
Hmm.
everybody who like to dress. You know how people dress up. I don't like to wear suits all the time. Some people I like to wear hoodies. Some
Uh-huh.
people who like to dress a certain way, listen to a certain music, but they love wrestling. So he putting together these events, man, and they selling merchandise and doing everything that the big companies will do. I just read on the internet too. He told me and Goldberg this story with WWE just don't treat him right. They don't respect that this guy has got his own platform. He's well liked in the black and white community, but for some reason they don't give him any respect. In his own town, they put Westside Gun and made a move from the front seat to another seat. To me, that sounds like something else. And
Hmm.
this guy's a superstar. They show all the other his friends on the cameras, and they just leave him and don't give him no attention. Don't give him any kind of gesture of we appreciate you coming in
Hmm.
with your fan. You know, so I hear some people mad about that, but see that just wrestling, man. Wrestling is a world that is controlled so much that it's emotional and it can be controlled by somebody only because for different reasons. Let's just say that. Not always because we don't like you, or you're not our type, you're not big enough, you're not black enough, you're not white enough, but you never know. But I felt the same way before. The WWE came to Atlanta. They called in a lot of wrestlers, legends from Atlanta to come and sit at ringside. And they showed them on the hard camera. Boom. They come to Atlanta. They know I'm from Atlanta. I'm a legend. Why you didn't invite me down? But they invited all the other guys down, to take pictures. So that's just the grime of the business too. You get a lot of guys who in the business, man, who they talk about Jim Ross. Jim Ross always been nice to me. I think he was nice. He never said anything to my face. But a lot of people say he probably didn't say anything to your face because he knew you'll probably kick his head off. But he was the one that let me know that we was not going to renew your contract. And and he couldn't tell me why I didn't say anything. He just let it go like I was getting fired. But then they told me you weren't getting fired. They just didn't renegotiate your contract. Go out and work and we'll come back and get you. That was Vince McMahon. But I was so disturbed with what this guy said. And then I saw this guy, JR, working for AEW. Tony Khan and one of my friends, who is part owner, minority part owner in Atlanta Falcon for the Atlanta Falcon football team. He came back and said, "Hey man, they started a new wrestling thing on TV, and the guy owner son is the guy behind it." And I asked him, "Did he know you?" And he said, "Yeah. Not only did he know you, he wanted to work with you." So I said, "You know what? I'll go check it out, see what it's about." So I went down to AEW, just walking around. I had a lot of friends back there, Glacier work over there, QT. A lot of those guys are my friends. So I was just walking around. And this thing, JR saw me. He was working there. Then JR looked at me and said, "Well, hey, I hope you ain't coming here because you too smart to come here." I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like, "What do you mean I'm too smart to come and make money at wrestling?" I almost said, "Wait a minute, why in the hell are you still working here then?"
Mhm.
If I'm too smart to come work here, what did that make you? I don't understand this guy. We're not friends, but
Mhm.
he always got something psychologically he could say about something to wear people down. So when I heard somebody say that he might have been prejudiced, he might have been. I mean, he didn't know me for no reason. I've never had any dealing with him. And he looked at me in my eyes and he said, "We're not going to renegotiate your contract." Instead of saying, "Listen here, son, you can go and do anything you want to. We need to develop your character. Go develop your character, then make your way back around." That's what I get now, looking back hindsight on that situation. But he didn't tell me that. He just told me, "Hey, we not negotiate your contract." But since I had a pretty decent relationship with Vince McMahon, I went straight to Vince McMahon, knocked on his door. And I swear, Vince opened the door. He sat with me. He got a chair and picked the chair up and put down right in front of another chair. And it was my chair and his chair. And I sat right there. We talked. And he didn't say anything disrespectful. I wasn't begging him to keep me. He wasn't telling me. He was just upfront. I said, "So what would this process be?" Something. He said, "Cat, this is how the process works. You leave and you go work your way around, develop your character. Then you come back and you pitch your character to us. And then we'll probably pick you up because we already know you."
Mhm.
That's the
Did
only
that?
thing saved. That's the only thing saved me of going around there and kicking this old man head off his body.
How does it feel to know that your legacy lives on to this day and everyone still recognizes the cat? They know the
Oh,
cat name. They still
it's
pop
so
every time they hear your name.
it's so funny, man. It seems so funny because I thought I was gonna be a legend. Like my favorite football player was Jack Lambert. I thought I was gonna be a legend middle linebacker like Jack Lambert. They were gonna call me Ernie Lambert, you know. But I didn't make it in football. Then I did karate, and it just wasn't no money in karate, man. My fighter, I can train for 6 months, and then the fighter don't show up because the money wasn't great for them. Fortunately, I was sponsored by Paul Mitchell, so my money was always there. So I thought I was gonna be a legend karate guy, but then when wrestling came, they offered me the money and the time and the things I could do with that for myself. I said I can go away and build my name on TV and come back and be an even well-known implant in karate again because of me being a celebrity now, which is exactly what I do. So when I came back and really got into wrestling, got back into karate, man, I had guys who I was able to sell karate like it was a brand new Porsche.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, listen, this is what you get from me now. I'm Ernest the Cat Miller. I can either do this, do that, and man, and it was working. People were paying crazy kind of money. I had Emmanuel Lewis, I had Usher Raymond. He one of my karate students, Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupree, all the black stars with their kids. I had all those guys in my karate school. But then I
Hmm.
started like it got to where I did not want to spend all my time in a karate school either. So I went and did a couple of movies, and I didn't know, man. I didn't know till I went down to. I stayed away from wrestling for a while. Then next thing you know, I went down to wrestling about a year ago, and I walked through where all the wrestler was on WWE, and
Hmm.
people were whispering my name. Hey, is that Ernest the Cat Miller? I mean, guys look like me. Some of the black wrestlers, even the white wrestler. Hey, that's Ernest the Cat Miller. Hey, they'll come up to me. Man, I walked through and they were having a meeting. And I walked through and I sat down on the side with Shane Hams and Steven Regal, two of my good friends. And the guy looked over and saw me. I heard the guy say, man, is that Ernest the Cat Miller? Man, this place is lit. And it was one of the top wrestlers now in WWE. Ain't gonna call his name, but the first thing he said, man, if you come back, we can listen. OG is what they call me. And
Hmm.
I got a lot of respect for that because at the time I was just doing what I was doing.
Hmm.
But somebody was entertained by me enough to where now they look up to me and say, the guy Westside Gun told me, he said, Cat, you were one of those guys that made it cool to kick somebody in their face. I said, what? He said, I never looked at it like that. He said, you were dressed cool, you had a suit on, and you just kicking people. You made it cool. So I was like, you know what, man? I just said, thank you. Thank you. Because I never thought about being a legend in karate, a legend in pro wrestling. But here I am. Some people consider me a legend.
I couldn't agree more. If you had any advice to give to anybody getting into professional wrestling, what would it be?
You know, when I got there, the advice that a lot of wrestlers gave me was save your money. What good is it if you're saving your money? What kind of time are you having?
Hmm.
I make money. I make money. Money don't make me. So I let that go and I just focus more on what can I do to make people want to watch me more. This is my life. God put this in my life. What can I do to make it the best time, make it the most important thing in my life right now? What do I have to do as a wrestler to make it? And while I'm asking myself all these questions, I'm doing what I was supposed to do because now I'm a legend at it. And the
Hmm.
money comes and goes. So, as you can see, I'm a money making machine, baby. I make money. Anything I do, I make money. My dad told me that when I was young. He said, bro, you gonna make money. You got your blood, you got the blood in you. Money go, listen. You make money, money don't make you. So that means you just don't change. You don't
Hmm.
get it and you change. The only thing I changed when I made money is I bought myself a nice Porsche.
Nothing
That's
wrong with
it.
that. Well
That's
deserved.
it. That's it. But the first check I got, man, I was able to buy my mom a brand new house, because the money you make in wrestling is crazy. I don't know
Hmm.
how crazy it is today. They making really good money, but if you somewhere near the top,
Hmm.
you're making a lot of money. Now, what you do with it's up to you. Of course, you can go out and spend a drinking and doing kind of stuff, but you know what, man? Money, you're gonna make money a long time when you in this business.
Do you have any upcoming appearances or projects you're working on?
Man, like I said, I'm working with the Fourth Rope. It's a
Hmm.
wrestling organization owned by Westside Gun, who put on a great show, man. And this guy right here treat me like OG. He fly me in, boom, anything you want, we got it for you. He treat me just like WCW treated me in WWE. A lot of these, a lot of these shows I didn't do. I really didn't get into the indie shows because you got a lot of these guys in there who look like they live in the grandma basement and they able to get enough money to bring a wrestler out and start trying to act like they're Vince McMahon. So I
Hmm.
was not gonna have some kid trying to tell me what to do when he look up to me. I'm his hero. Just because he can bring me out, he put me on the level. So I charge people too much money. You got to be a grown man if you're gonna pay the cat. You ain't
Hmm.
gotta listen, breaking open the piggy bank and No, you need to open a new bank account to get pay me. So that kept away a lot of the riffraff.
Hmm.
So working with Westside Gun, man, these guys are really good at whatever they do and how they doing things. And I see a good future with them. And he's a hell of a guy, man. Hell of an entertainer. He loved wrestling. He loved it.
Where can people reach out to you at?
Man, I'm on social media just like everybody else. I mean, just like you did. You reached out to me on social media and just so happened I was looking at my own social media and I said, hey, I don't mind doing this kid podcast. So here we are.
I greatly appreciate you taking the time out when you didn't have to, sir. It means a lot.
Okay, well, you got me, brother. And, thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you for what you've done for professional wrestling, what you continue to do, sir. I truly appreciate everything you've done for this industry.
All right, brother. Thanks. That meant a lot to me just to hear that come from you young guys. Cause right now, you guys, how old are you?
I'm 37, so I'm right in that
See,
area
that
where
that's
I'm.
my that's my group. That's my group right there. Anybody from 30 to 40, those my guys. Those are the guys who young with me kicking people in the mouth. So anyway, man, thanks for having me on, brother.
Thank you. And if there's ever anything that I can do, please feel free to reach out.
I will, man. Stay in touch.
Yes, sir.